Well, come October, Australia is set to break a world record and a double whammy, end hepatitis C along the way. It's a historic public health goal which is achievable, and I'll tell you how in just a moment. But the information about it is going to be amplified in a nationwide trivia event. Think of it as your typical night of pub trivia down at your local writ large, on steroids, to coin that overused phrase. They're calling it Australia's Biggest Quiz. It's coming up on Wednesday, October 26th, and it will be played both virtually and by people in person at around 16 live sites, community locations across the country, in this massive event put on by Hepatitis Australia. And it's all about delivering the message that there is a cure for hepatitis, and a lot of people with hepatitis C don't actually know that they've got it. Let's find out a little bit more. Kerry Fowley is Chief Executive Officer of Hepatitis Australia, and she joins me now. Kerry, good morning. Welcome. Lovely to have a chat to you.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure to be here to spread the good news.
This is going to be a massive event, but I want to start a little bit before we talk about the quiz itself. Tell me, how prevalent is hepatitis C right now in Australia?
Well, I thought I might talk about Queensland. So we've got a pretty incredible story here where in 2016 there were about 44,000 or so people in Queensland living with hepatitis C. And over the last 5 years, 43% of those have been cured from it. So we have this incredible thing going on where we found almost half the people. And so our mission here is to chat to you and chat to the whole community, tell them there's a cure, and get people activated to find the rest of the thousands of Queenslanders.
That's brilliant. So that's the trade. I mean, that's both good news and bad news in that, I guess. I mean, the good news is that there is a cure and you've cured that many people. The bad news is that there's a lot of people living with this condition who aren't aware that they could be doing something about it.
Absolutely. And one of the challenges with hepatitis C is it often goes for a long time without symptoms. So people may have contracted hepatitis C 20, 25 years ago, and they might associate the symptoms of it with ageing and general ageing. So the only way really to find out if you've got hep C is through a blood test at your GP, and it's not part of the routine blood test that people get.
But it's really passed by essentially sharing needles, isn't it? There's really no other way that you can catch hep C off somebody else. Is that correct?
Oh, well, there's a range of ways. So it's through some type of unsterile equipment. So that could be tattooing. Yep. That could be through medical procedures, for example, overseas. That could be through unsterile needle equipment. So there's a whole kind of range of ways that people could have, either in Australia or overseas, contracted hepatitis C.
Okay, so really, given all that, there's a lot of people out there who it probably hasn't even occurred to them that this may be why they've been feeling how they're feeling for quite some time.
Potentially, indeed. And the tests that we've got, they're really easy, they're really quick, and it's great because the treatment as well, it's listed on the PBS. You can get it through your GP. It's cheap. It's basically 1 to 3 pills for 8 to 12 weeks, and then you've completed the course, and the cure rate's 95%.
When did this cure, even though not 100%, still a fantastic result, when was this arrived at, discovered?
So this came into Australia in 2016. Okay. So this is also something that we need to tell the community about, is because the treatment before this time was not very good. You know, it was really hard. It had really hard side effects, and it really had a really low success rate. So what people might think they know about hepatitis C treatment is probably, for lots of people, not contemporary. So that's what we're trying to tell people as well, is that there's a new cure, and the cure is highly effective, it works, it's cheap, and it's available through your doctor now.
Okay. And in terms of, this is why you're staging Australia's Biggest Quiz to get this information out there to as many people as possible.
It is, absolutely. And it's not a fundraiser. In fact, we're running a series of community grant programs right now So anyone that's around the Toowoomba area is really encouraged to go to australiasbiggestquiz.org/community partners. And we've got $1,000 grants going at the moment. And that's really to encourage people around the Toowoomba area to go around and tell 10 people that they know that there's a cure for hepatitis C, and to register a team for Australia's Biggest Quiz on the 26th of October.
And then the quiz itself, it's obviously, the questions are going to be way beyond just Hep C. It's going to be the traditional sort of trivia quiz that we know and love, I presume.
Absolutely. So if you imagine the classic kind of trivia that everybody loves to go to, and it's something that communities across Australia have in common, is the love of trivia. And we know so many things, but one thing that lots of people don't know is that there's a cure for hepatitis C. So it'll have a range of sports questions, geography questions, and for the local live sites, for example, in Toowoomba, there'll also be some Toowoomba-specific trivia in there as well. At the moment, we're really encouraging people to apply for the community grants and to get on board and register a team, and we'll have the venue information out before you know it.
All right. So first step, just describe how do people go about securing those grants and getting those teams together and getting involved? What's the first step they need to do?
So if you go to australiasbiggestquiz.org, all the information is there. And so there people can find the link to apply for the community grant. So it's a really simple process. It takes about 10 minutes, and people just need to be in one of the 16 geographic areas and be kind of community partners already in that space. And apply for a grant there. And then also on australiasbiggestquiz.org, you can also register to play the trivia. And if you're not near a live site, everyone can play online across Queensland and across Australia.
If you missed those details, just do a web search for Australia's Biggest Quiz. It'll take you to the Hepatitis Australia website, and all the links will be there. But it's going to be terrific, and getting the news out that there is a cure for hepatitis C, and now the plan is for total eradication. But certainly if they've gone ahead in leaps and bounds in terms of how we tackle the condition, and the high percentage of people with it who can actually be definitively cured. But for more information, Australia's Biggest Quiz, or do a web search for Hepatitis Australia. It'll tell you everything you need to know. 5 to 7.